everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's Wednesday, January 13, 2021. Tonight we have updates from several of our correspondents across North America and Central America. To fill us in on what's brewing in the White House, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot in Washington.
President Trump is impeached for the second time.
May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports about the Panamanian government's announcement about new containment measures to mitigate COVID-19 spread. To share some good news for New Jersey seniors, May Ann Manzano Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
All New Jersey residents ages 65 and older eligible for COVID-19 vaccination.
Naya Dames tells us what's happening in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Maryland leaders hold virtual rallies for COVID-19 emergency funds. Governor Hogan announces $1 billion in emergency relief.
To tell us what the governor has to say about the COVID-19 vaccine, Myla Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Governor Tom Wolf reaches out to Pennsylvanians about the safety and effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine and COVID-19 updates in Delaware.
Online access for vaccines in Pearisburg, Ohio, we have Randy Bayuga.
Ohio to begin Phase 1B of vaccinations next week with online access for residents to search providers with allotted vaccines.
Don Omar Cuevas in Little Rock shares with us some milestones from Arkansas history as a 25th state, and Arkansas governor's announcement of new plans for a quicker and more widespread distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. For business news, Bobby Soriano reports about Intel CEOs stepping down and the business community still responding to the deadly Capitol riots. Plus, for our virtual roundtable, in observance of National Soup Month, we'll talk about our favorite soups for these cold winter days. Our coverage begins now. The political saga in the U.S. continues. Weeks of election recounts and runoffs, protests and debates, speeches and a siege in the U.S. Capitol have come to this point. The impeachment of President Donald J. Trump. In Washington, D.C., Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot reports.
Good Wednesday evening to you, Ace, and a great Thursday morning to our friends on the other side of the globe. That is correct. President Donald J. Trump is impeached again. This makes him the first president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. After hours of debate on the House floor, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi announced the result. Here's that historic moment.
On this vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
10 Republicans, including number 3 House Republican Liz Cheney, broke rank and voted to impeach the president on a single charge of incitement of insurrection. Although a majority of Republicans argued not to impeach the outgoing president, there were those who agreed Trump needed to be accountable for not stopping rioters from storming the Capitol building. Here's what House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term.
McCarthy, however, said impeaching Trump in such a short time would be a mistake and would further divide the nation. The impeachment of Trump, the latest development in a dramatic and turbulent era of U.S. politics, comes 1 week before he is scheduled to leave office. The next step would play out on the Senate floor. Meanwhile, it is currently 46 degrees Fahrenheit or 8 degrees Celsius in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Eliza, before you go, what is the atmosphere in D.C.?
Well, Ace, we spoke with one Virginia resident who commutes through downtown Washington, D.C. every morning. And this morning, he said he has never experienced here in the States what he experienced a security checkpoint. Although he has lived in the U.S. for many years, he has also resided in other countries and said the feeling of going through a checkpoint in D.C. today was like a checkpoint in other countries where a coup or an uprising is about to happen. Now, other residents are still in disbelief of what's going on right now, and some still reel at the thought and become very emotional when speaking about the storming of the Capitol last week by rioters. As the inauguration nears, Ace, and this latest development of the outgoing president being impeached, the feeling of tension and uncertainty seems like to linger. We do have another update, though. As we were finalizing this report earlier this evening, President Trump released a video which we viewed on the White House YouTube page. And in this video, he mentioned that he unequivocally condemns the violence that happened last week at the U.S. Capitol. And he also stated in the video that no true supporter of his could ever endorse political violence, as he called for calm and urged for peace. He made no mention of the impeachment, but before he ended his speech, he did mention what he called an unprecedented assault on free speech that he has seen in recent days. Now, earlier today, he released an official statement where he had the same message of no violence, calm, and peace. Ace?
Thank you so much, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot from Washington.
Thank you, too.
The Senate's Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, said today the U.S. Senate cannot conduct a fair or serious trial of impeached U.S. President Donald Trump in the short time frame before he leaves office next week. McConnell said in a statement, given the rules, procedures, and Senate precedents that govern presidential impeachment trials, there is simply no chance that a fair or serious trial could conclude before President-elect Joe Biden is sworn in next week. McConnell said, even if the Senate process were to begin this week and move promptly, no final verdict would be reached until after President Trump had left office. McConnell has said he would not reconvene the chamber before its scheduled resumption January 19, one day before the inauguration. Warning that just moving forward would be a huge mistake, Human Rights Watch said Wednesday U.S. President-elect Joe Biden should allow the prosecution of his predecessor for alleged crimes. HRW Executive Director Kenneth Roth said once Biden takes office on January 20, he should not stand in the way of professional prosecutors wanting to hold Donald Trump to account for various crimes in the name of trying to unify the country. Let's take a look.
Well, Trump has obviously been a disaster for human rights. He just trampled over human rights at home, and he cozied up to one friendly autocrat after another abroad. So the real challenge for Biden is, not simply how do you reverse the damage that Trump did, but how do you avoid another Trump from doing something similar? We've seen Trump willing to trample on democracy in various forms, whether it's encouraging violence throughout his 4 years, not just on January 6th, whether it's been attacking the various pillars of democracy, including the basic right to vote. So in that sense, January 6th was a natural culmination of a trend that really persisted for 4 years. I think it's essential for the United States to really draw the line under that and to say this despicable conduct is utterly unacceptable. Question of impeachment. For Biden, the big question is prosecution. And our message to Biden is to not repeat Obama's mistake of looking forward, not back. That's what Obama said with respect to Bush torture. And as a result, left torture is a policy option rather than a despicable crime. Biden needs to allow professional prosecutors to go forward and to prosecute whatever crimes took place, whether the assault on the Capitol, whether the phone call to Georgia election officials, or other issues such as Trump's taxes or his use of his presidency to advance his business interests.
The report comes a week after the attack on Congress and ignited a new effort to remove Trump who is accused of whipping up the mob into storming the chambers where lawmakers were certifying Biden's November 3 win. Unprecedented efforts are underway by Democrats in Congress to impeach Trump for a second time, and Roth urged the executive branch to also ensure he is sanctioned for his alleged crimes while in office. In addition to Trump's alleged role in the storming of the Capitol, Roth said there were likely a long line of suspected crimes prosecutors could be interested in pursuing. Days before President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th, Washington is in a state of siege with armed National Guard deployed, specifically on U.S. Capitol grounds. The Pentagon is deploying as many as 15,000 National Guard troops to protect Biden's inauguration on January 20, amid fears of new violence. Earlier today, as the U.S. House of Representatives opened this session to vote on impeaching President Donald Trump for inciting insurrection, lawmakers walked among armed National Guard's patrol in the halls of the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, as downtown Washington was fenced off and boarded up while Congress weighed a historic second impeachment of President Donald Trump. The city at the heart of American democracy has been a shadow of itself during pandemic shutdowns, but now it is also under heavy guard after Trump supporters' deadly attack on the Congress building. Dozens of National Guard members in body armor and camouflage could be seen asleep or resting on floors inside the Capitol, their black rifles leaning against the polished stone walls of the building's historic halls. The building's grounds are ringed by a security fence erected after the attack, similar to the one put up around the White House months ago when protests erupted nationwide against police killings of African Americans. Meanwhile, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is encouraging Americans to participate virtually in the presidential inauguration following the violence that happened last week at the Capitol. Let's take a look.
Exactly 1 week ago, there was a violent insurrection at the Capitol of the United States that has impacted the way we are approaching working with our federal partners and planning for the 59th inauguration. We have asked Americans not to come to the Washington, D.C. event, but instead to participate virtually. I requested, as you recall, that the President declare a pre-emergency declaration for the District of Columbia. And on Monday, that declaration was declared. We also requested that the Department of Homeland Security extend the National Special Security Event period, and they have done that. That period now starts today instead of on the 19th as it was originally planned.
And now for COVID news. According to the Pan-American Health Organization, 8 countries in the Americas report a variant of COVID-19 detected in the United Kingdom. Deputy Director of the Pan-American Health Organization, Sylvan Aldigueri, mentions these countries.
8 países que han reportado el variante detectado y caracterizado en Gran Bretaña, en la región de las Américas, voy a leer para no equivocarme. Son Brasil, Canadá, Chile, Ecuador, Jamaica, México, Perú y Estados Unidos.
Again, these countries are Brazil, Canada, Chile, Ecuador, Jamaica, Mexico, Peru, and the United States. For today's COVID-19 numbers, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, January 13th, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 91,923,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. has more than 22.9 million, India 10.4 million, Brazil 8.1 million. To date, more than 1,969,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths with more than 382,000. Brazil is next with more than 204,000 and India more than 151,000. When we come back, updates from our Eagle News correspondents in Ciudad de Panama, Sicklerville, New Jersey, and Gaithersburg, Maryland. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hi, Happy Peeps! It's me, Empress. Abangan niyo po ako ngayong Thursday sa Happy Time. PM is the key and I will be your COD celebrity on delivery with Ate Kit Kat. Kita Kits!
Happy Time, Happy Time,
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to things our help outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Eagle News America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. New restrictions that include new curfews, market schedules, and mobility days begin in Panama this Thursday, January 14. Eagle News correspondent May Davila has the details.
The Panamanian government announced new containment measures to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. This include mobility restrictions as of January 14 in some provinces, activities that will be allowed, and the gradual opening of trade and labor measures. Minister of Health Luis Francisco Sucre revealed that beginning Thursday, January 14, the curfew will apply to the entire country from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. For the provinces of Cocle, Veraguas, and Los Santos, there will be a total quarantine without working hours or mobility from Friday, January 15 at 9 p.m. until Monday at 4 a.m. Stores will be open on Friday 15 until 7:30 p.m. With a significant increase in COVID-19 cases in the province of Herrera, a quarantine will be applied suspending all working hours with restriction of mobility by gender. Women will be able to mobilize Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, while men Tuesdays and Thursdays. From Monday to Friday, only supermarkets, shops, grocery stores, and pharmacies will be open for the exclusive sale of food and medicine. For the province of Herrera, a total quarantine will work without mobility on weekends from Friday, January 15 at 9 p.m. until Monday, January 18 at 4 a.m. He indicated that for the provinces of Panama and Panama Oeste, adjustments have been made to the restrictions imposed, eliminating the control of mobility hours by identity card. Only mobility for purchases by gender will be maintained. Women on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for men Tuesday and Thursday. In these provinces, there will be a total quarantine on weekends from Friday 15 at 9 p.m. until Monday at 4 a.m. Also in Panama and Panama Oeste, the previously established sanitary fences are maintained. And in addition, the performance of any activity that involves crowd in places is prohibited. In the case of work meetings, only the maximum participation of 25 people will be allowed, strictly respecting the distance of 2 meters between people. In addition, in Panama and Panama Oeste, a staggered schedule of entry and exit of workers will be applied as of January 14 to avoid overcrowding in public transportation. Minister Sucre said these measures will be maintained according to the epidemiological behavior of the pandemic. The Minister of Commerce and Industries, Ramon Francisco Martinez, also announced that as of Thursday, January 14, all the activities included in Decree 1686 of December 28, 2020 will be allowed. And in addition, retail trade only in online sale and home delivery, wholesale trade exclusively to supply and distribute commercial establishments, the construction industry, related activities and supply chain, such as the production, import, and distribution of raw materials and construction materials. Also, administrative and general services, professional services, technical services, domestic cleaning, laundry, and washing services are allowed. While in places of worship, a maximum of 25 people or 25% of the capacity will be allowed, respecting the curfew from Monday to Friday and the total quarantine on weekends. By February 1, the retail trade with the face-to-face modality will resume its activities, as well as beauty parlors and barber shops, and the comprehensive early childhood care centers. On February 15, car washes, tailor shops and shoe stores, creative and cultural industries, music, art and dance academies, restaurants will be able to resume normal activities with the use of screens and acrylics. On March 1, the gyms, massage, beauty and spa rooms, marinas, and sport fishing shall also resume. On March 15, beaches, rivers, and cinemas may reopen. Martinez said the country is living through the most critical moment of this difficult pandemic, and the government needs everyone's support to continue making progress in opening up the economy and building a better Panama. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Thank you, May Davila. New Jersey just released information that all residents ages 65 and above are now eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. In Sicklerville, Mayan Manzano-Guerzon joins us this evening. Mayan.
Thank you, Ace. In a report released by the Office of New Jersey Governor, 2 additional categories of New Jersey residents will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccination. Beginning Thursday, January 14, all New Jersey residents ages 65 and older and individuals ages 16 to 64 with certain medical conditions as defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, that increase the risk of severe illness from the virus are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccination. Take a look.
Today, we are announcing that all New Jersey residents ages 65 and older, plus those between the ages of 16 and 64 with medical conditions as defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that increase the risk of severe illness from the virus may begin to receive their vaccinations as of tomorrow. And I want to be careful, Judy and Eddie, to not use the word comorbidities. That's not what this is. This is folks with chronic real-time health challenges between the ages of 16 and 64. Again, it is somewhat, if not largely, based on the anticipation, not guarantee, but anticipation of increased deliveries of vaccines, as the federal government will no longer be holding back doses we are confident in taking these steps. And again, there's harmony right now. There wasn't necessarily harmony before, but there is right now between the outgoing Trump team, who we were on with yesterday, and the incoming Biden team, who we're on with on a regular basis. We have set the infrastructure we need to do this job, and we are now ready to begin to ramp up our vaccination efforts exponentially. May I just say this up front? I want to remind folks, please be patient. We are taking this step in advance of what we not just anticipate, but will likely have in terms of a increased vaccine dosage supply. Secondly, we cannot allow to see in New Jersey what happened in Florida with seniors standing up all night around the block in very cold weather. That will not happen here. This will continue to be an appointments-based regime. Thirdly, there is a supply-demand imbalance, which we know full well as of tomorrow morning we are adding to in anticipation of that demand. But Judy, I'll get to this in a minute. We've got 260-odd distribution points that you've planned. That number's going up. 160-something of them are already up and running. We have 6 mega sites. We believe strongly that we can responsibly take this step.
For more information about statewide vaccination site locations and to pre-register for a vaccination, visit covid19.nj.gov. And meanwhile, here is the latest statistical report of New Jersey's COVID-19 cases. According to the Department of Health of New Jersey, there are 6,922 new positive cases reported today, bringing the statewide total to 543,974 New Jerseyans who have tested positive. Sadly, we have 95 new confirmed COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 18,070 fatalities. And for some weather update is, it's currently 9:01 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently clear. It is 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. The high today was 46 degrees Fahrenheit or 8 degrees Celsius, and the low will be 27 degrees Fahrenheit or -3 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Mayan, do you have the numbers? How many have already been vaccinated in New Jersey?
Is as of Wednesday morning, 264,681 vaccinations have already been administered here in New Jersey, according to state officials. Ace?
That's great. Thank you so much, May and Manzano Garzon, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Thank you, Ace.
A statewide coalition reaches out to Governor Larry Hogan for additional relief to alleviate the pandemic's impact on residents and businesses. In Gaithersburg, Naya Dames reports. Naya.
Thank you, Ace. The Maryland United for COVID Relief Now Coalition held a virtual rally on January 10, urging Governor Larry Hogan to distribute money from Maryland's Rainy Day Fund to relieve the Maryland residents and businesses most impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. A statewide coalition comprises various business owners, community leaders, and elected officials, including Senator Chris Van Hollen and Maryland Comptroller Peter Franchot. Formed during the last months of 2020, the coalition also advocated the release of additional funds for pandemic relief on December 23rd. According to the coalition, the lack of local aid from Congress's latest COVID-19 relief bill will result in the disruption of essential services and programs for both families and businesses. Some major concerns, as expressed during the rally, include business closures and renter evictions due to inability to pay rent. The virtual rally was live-streamed from the coalition's Facebook page and consisted of remarks from various coalition leaders on the issues families and local businesses face, as well as emphasis on the need for Governor Hogan to use some of Maryland's $1.2 billion rainy day fund for relief efforts. The coalition hopes that Governor Hogan will push for $2,000 stimulus checks for residents in need, as well as $250 million to be provided to small businesses to keep them afloat. Franchot also spoke length about the urgency of the situation and called for action as soon as possible.
I can't emphasize enough that if we wait for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, it's too late. And Tom, thank you again for the urgency of now and the need to do something. I'm not suggesting that you guys don't get local assistance once the Biden administration, everybody kicks in. But for the benefit of the Baltimore Sun, to pick a phrase from one of my predecessors, do it now. Thank you.
The following day, Governor Hogan introduced the Relief Act of 2021, which is set to provide more than $1 billion in emergency relief for Maryland families and businesses, over $270 million of direct stimulus, up to $750 for families, and up to $450 for individuals will be distributed to lower-income Marylanders. Other forms of relief include $180 million in state and local tax repeals on unemployment benefits and over $300 million towards small businesses in the form of sales tax credits. A complete summary of the bill can be found on the governor's website. Since it was introduced as emergency legislation, the Relief Act will take immediate effect when it is enacted, answering Comptroller Francho's call for urgency. However, the measures proposed in the bill do not quite meet the coalition's expectations of spending a majority of Maryland's rainy day fund, which Governor Hogan believes would be irresponsible. In Gaithersburg, Maryland, Naya Dames, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Naya, do these families have to fill out an application for the relief? And what's the qualification? How do they receive the direct stimulus payments?
Well, Ace, like federal stimulus payments, there is no application required. But in order for Marylanders to qualify, they will have to make certain salaries, which can be found on Governor Hogan's website. Ace?
Thank you so much, Naya Dames, Gaithersburg, Maryland. Up next, updates from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Pearisburg, Ohio, and Little Rock, Arkansas. Eagle News America will return shortly.
Balang araw, magkikita-kita tayo. At sinisiguro ko sa inyo, yung inuupuan nyo, mauupuan ko din. O, diba remember nung nakaraang linggo? Ayaw nila sa aking tatlo, di kinausap ko nga yung may-ari.
Panibagong set of contenders ang sasabak sa hamon ng TNG stage for a once-in-a-lifetime chance to reach their dreams. Dito lang yan sa Kisa ng Galing Part 2 Dance!
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Happy Beeps! It's me, Tiffy Dos Santos. Abangan niyo po ako sa Happy Time this Thursday. I will be jamming with Kuya Jano sa Jano Gives Entertainment. See you!
Happy time, happy time,
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Governor Tom Wolf is reaching out to his constituents in Pennsylvania, underscoring the effectiveness and safety of the COVID-19 vaccine. And in Delaware, the latest in COVID-19 cases. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan is with us tonight. Myla.
That's right, Ace. An orderly, planned distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine is a priority of the Wolf administration. And Governor Tom Wolf and other members of the Wolf administration shared an update on the vaccine, stressing its safety and efficacy. Here's Governor Tom Wolf to tell us more. Take a look.
But I'm here to tell you that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe to use and very good at protecting people who are vaccinated. So if you hear a rumor about COVID-19 from a friend or see something online that concerns you, take a few minutes to verify the information before you get too worried about it. You can always find accurate, up-to-date information about vaccine safety and distribution on our website here, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, or you can go straight to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and find out from them. Either way, this is a great thing for Pennsylvania. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's go out and get our vaccines.
We've heard about myths such as that the vaccine can't be safe because it was developed so quickly, or it's too early to know whether it's effective or not. Here's Dr. Cynthia Chuang, Chief of the Division of General Internal Medicine at Penn State Health Milton S. Hershey Medical Center, to give us some insights. Take a look.
We know that there's 2 vaccines currently that have been approved by the FDA under an emergency use authorization. And what we know about these vaccines is derived from really rigorously performed clinical trials. And these clinical trials included participants of all ages, racial and ethnic backgrounds, and different health conditions. So these trials really did a great job of representing our population. So these trials demonstrated that the vaccines are highly effective, like Governor Wolf said. The vaccines are the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, which were shown in those trials to be 95% and 94% effective at reducing the risk of symptomatic COVID infection. 95% and 94%, that's really remarkable. So just to give a comparison, our seasonal flu vaccine, which we rely on very much, usually ranges between a 40 to 60% efficacy. So the efficacy of the COVID vaccines is really remarkable.
The number of vaccines distributed by the federal government in the Commonwealth is reaching almost 1 million as the state is in its 5th week of receipt of vaccine. Meanwhile, here's the latest COVID-19 update from my neighboring state, the state of Delaware. The Delaware Department of Public Health announced the state's first COVID-19 related death of a child since the start of the pandemic. The death involves a child under the age of 5 from Newcastle County who had a significant number of comorbidities. Additional details about the individual will not be provided to protect patient privacy. And here's the latest number of COVID-19 in Delaware. A total number of 994 Delawareans have passed away due to complications from COVID-19. The state reported 37 additional deaths since last week's update, and a total of 67,173 positive cases of COVID-19 among Delaware residents have been reported to the Delaware Department of Health since March 11, 2020. A record number of new positive cases, 733 positive cases, was reported today, and the 7-day average increased to 778.6. Right now, the percent of tests that are positive is 9.8%. Right now in Swarthmore, it's 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 3.8 degrees Celsius with clear skies. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Myla, obviously there's a need for the governor to stress the effectiveness of the vaccine. Are the Pennsylvanians reluctant to get the vaccine?
According to Dr. Cynthia Chuang, the initial survey suggests says that there's less than 50% who are eager to get the vaccine. And that initial survey was done last year, fall of last year. There's a small percentage that's absolutely, but that's from the initial survey last year, and there were additional surveys done after that, and it keeps on increasing. And that's why they keep on emphasizing to my fellow Pennsylvanians that COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Ace?
Okay. Thank you so much, Milo Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. In Ohio, next week marks the start of Phase 1B of the state's COVID-19 vaccination plan. Residents will also be able to go online to search for providers with allotted vaccines. In Pearisburg, Rani Bayuga has the details. Rani.
Thank you, Ace. In his press conference yesterday, Governor Mike DeWine highlighted Phase 1B distribution plans. Ohioans 80 years old and older will receive their vaccinations starting January 19th, followed by Ohioans 75 years and older on January 25th, and on February 1st, 70 years old and older, together with K-12 schools employees or staff, will receive their vaccines. And then by February 8th, Ohioans 65 years and older will also be vaccinated. The governor tweeted, "The Aging Network's priority is to get our seniors the vaccines." Statistically, in Ohio, the elderly has experienced the most deaths due to COVID, and thus the priority for the vaccine. Phase 1B vaccine supplies expected to arrive by January 18th. Ohio will also release a website at coronavirus.ohio.gov to help eligible residents to find providers who have vaccines. The website will have up-to-date data on the availability of the vaccines. Hospitals only have till January 17th to complete their vaccinations of their frontline healthcare workers, and any vaccines left over must be turned in to be reallocated. Ohio's COVID-19 situation is still rather high. There are now 799,639 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and in the last 24 hours, 6,701 were added. And the total deaths is at 9,861, and in the last 24 hours, 79 were added. Hospitalizations up to 42,151. ICU admissions at 6,252. False rumors. The Ohio National Guard is warning citizens to ignore a false letter being circulated that the President Trump, will invoke a 2-week mandatory quarantine and the Stafford Act. The hoax letters also advises citizens to start stocking up. The National Guard has been helping with COVID-19 since last year, March, and are also helping with vaccinations, actively helping here in Ohio. Pearisburg, Ohio, Eagle News, Rani Bayuga. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Rani, what steps has Ohio taken to prepare for the presidential inauguration?
So as of yesterday, the governor signed an order to activate 580 National Guard soldiers and airmen and to begin training to start immediately to assist during the presidential inauguration in D.C. and also to assist here in Ohio, just in case another crazy insurgence occurs again.
Thank you so much, Rani Bayuga, Pearisburg, Ohio. As National Day took place Monday, January 11th, Don Omar Cuevas shares some milestones from Arkansas's history as the 25th state. And Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson announces new plans for a quicker and more widespread distribution of COVID-19 vaccine. Let's take a look.
Thank you again for having me, and hello from Little Rock. This Monday was 2021's National Arkansas Day, a day for honoring the history of the 25th state of the USA. Even though Arkansas is small, it has had a rich history from the year 1836 until now. From President Andrew Jackson ordering the protection of its unique hot springs to the rise of icons such as Johnny Cash, Ernest Hemingway, and Maya Angelou, this little old state has a lot to appreciate. Even though we're still stuck at home for the most part, I hope all the Arkansans seeing this are safely spending their time well. Regnat Populus. In other news, COVID-19 cases are almost at 260,000, with over 25,000 recoveries and over 4,000 deaths. In an update this Tuesday, Governor Asa Hutchinson has announced another change to the plan for COVID-19 vaccine distribution. This change of plans is being made to allow for quicker and more spread out distribution. We are still currently in Phase 1A, through which vaccines are being given to healthcare workers and other high priority essential workers. Phase 1B is now planned to come into effect on the 18th of January, and citizens 70 and older will have access to the vaccine, as well as education and childcare workers. Phase 1C is still predicted for April, which will extend access to those over 65 and those below 65 with high-risk medical conditions. Don't forget to stay safe wherever you are, and happy belated Arkansas Day. In Little Rock, Arkansas, Don Omar Cuevas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Don Omar. When we come back, business news with Bobby Soriano, plus, if time permits, our virtual roundtable. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Ako po si Nonoy Zuniga. Abangan niyo po ako ngayong linggo dito po sa Himig ng Lahi. Alas 8 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net 25.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Unique ang voice mo, napagaling mo.
You have a crystal powerful voice.
Ang galing. I really enjoyed your performance.
Isa na ang nakaabang sa January Finals. Sino naman kaya sa panibagong set of singers ang kakasa sa mas pinatinding hamon ng ating kompetisyon? Malalaman natin yan dito po sa biggest talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito po ang Taging Senegalese Part 2 Singing Edition.
Tuloy-tuloy ang saya sa 2021 dahil hatid ng Net25 para sa inyo ang pinakabagong game show na talaga namang mapapakanta ka sa sarap. It's singing time na! Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. Dito lang yan sa Net25.
It's singing time!
Stories from our business desk. Intel CEO Bob Swan is stepping down. Plus, more businesses respond to the violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol that happened exactly a week ago. Business correspondent Bobby Soriano files this report.
Good evening. U.S. markets have closed. Here are your latest business headlines. Intel CEO Bob Swan has announced that he will be stepping down from the tech company's lead role effective February 15. Swan was the interim CEO for Intel for 7 months before being given the position in January of 2019. However, the company has faced major pressure by investors to seek strategic alternatives to their business model after competitor AMD recently made significant gains in market share and longtime partner Apple announced it would be switching to its own processing chips for its products. VMware CEO Pat Gelsinger has been tapped as Mr. Swan's replacement, and Intel shares were up over 7% this morning on the announcement. The fallout from the Capitol riots last week continues as businesses further enacted steps to prevent any further violence for the upcoming inauguration. A growing list of companies have agreed to halt campaign contributions for Republican lawmakers that oppose the certification of the 2020 election, including longtime donors AT&T, GE, ConocoPhillips, and UPS, with Hallmark taking the additional step of asking 2 Republican senators to refund donations made in prior elections. YouTube has also joined the list of companies limiting President Trump's online presence, suspending his channel until at least after the inauguration. Google announced that it will be suspending the airing of any political ads that mention impeachment, the inauguration, or the violence that occurred at the U.S. Capitol. Apple and Amazon have announced suspension of their support of the app Parler, which has been blamed for a lack of far-right-wing content moderation. And as recently as today, Airbnb announced that it would be canceling all reservations in the Washington, D.C. area due to credible threats being planned for the inauguration. While many have praised the actions done by big tech to prevent further violence, others are beginning to worry about the influence that the industry is having on the country's dissenting voices, with world leaders from Mexico, Germany, France, and the UK calling for further regulation of digital content providers in the wake of President Trump's suspensions on social media. U.S. equity indices closed mixed today as the markets await for further news on stimulus talks after impeachment proceedings conclude. Reporting from New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Bobby. January is National Soup Month. And to celebrate it, let's ask our team what their favorite soup recipes are. This is going to be fun. Okay, let's start with Naya. Come on, Naya. Share with us your favorite soup recipe.
My favorite soup recipe would have to be very basic. So chicken noodle soup. I'm not much of a cook, so I would just get it out of the package. Usually cup noodles would be good. It's quick and simple, and yeah, that's my go-to soup for any season.
You should ask Tatay Nick to cook it for you. Myla, what's yours favorite soup recipe?
Hey, so I have a lot of favorite soups, but since my kids love to eat instant ramen, I decided to learn how to make, the real deal ramen from scratch. But this, you call it tonkotsu ramen. Tonkotsu meaning pork broth bone soup. So usually when you go to the restaurant, they usually cook this for like overnight, the broth itself. But I was able to get a recipe that you don't need to spend that much time making this ramen. Using pork fat, just a couple of ounces, not a lot, and then you boil it until it's really tender, and then you put it in a blender. So that's part of your soup. And then you add soy milk on it and chicken broth, and there's also some Japanese bonito flakes where you put it on water, and so that's your broth. And then you put on your toppings on it. So it's really good because my kids love it. And so they don't use, they will forget about the instant ramen. I know instant ramen has a bad reputation, but I'm just trying to make it healthy for them as well. Ace?
You mentioned pork fat. Rani was already salivating there.
That's my favorite soup too. Tonkatsu.
Hey, Rani,
yeah, it's really creamy. I like it too because it's really creamy. I think of all the ramen, that's the creamiest ramen that you can get. So yeah, should try that, Rani.
All along, I thought tonkotsu is just pork, chopped pork. I didn't know it meant pork bones.
Yes, you cook the pork for a long time until you
10
get.
hours.
Instead of doing that, you just have to cook that fat and then just a little bit, not too much because your cholesterol. It's gonna affect your cholesterol. So that will be the base of your soup. Yeah.
Oh. All right, Rani, what's yours? Favorite soup?
It has to be the tonkatsu, but yes, we do take the 10-hour route of boiling the bones and then washing it and then tossing away the boiled water that came from it, then boil it again for the 10 hours to start forming those delicious, creamy, yummy, whatever it is. But yeah, it's my favorite soup is the tonkatsu soup. Next to that is beef barley soup.
Barley, wow.
That's yummy.
Hard to make. But the tonkatsu sinful soup is probably number one right now. Let's go to Mayan, what's yours?
Ace, Mila and Randy got me really craving for ramen. Unfortunately, I can't make my own yet. So our favorite in the house, like the homemade thing, is salmon head sinigang, as I was sharing off cam. So that's our we buy our salmon head at the Asian store, and that's always part of the menu, winter or not. it's always a staple. Ace,
you can never go wrong with salmon head sinigang.
Right.
Eliza, favorite soup?
Okay, it has to be corn soup, Ace. It comes in a pack, but you mix it with water and usually add more corn, those that come in a can. Add more corn kernels. And no, sorry, no pork. And then that's it. Or sometimes if you want to add egg, then to make it a little bit more tasty, then we add egg. But just the corn and the corn soup in a pack, I'm happy.
But who among you?
How about you, Ace?
Yeah, how about you? What's your favorite?
Would go for the instant noodles, Instacup at night. Like exactly, right?
Guilty. Guilty.
Just add hot water, wait for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then you're voila.
Comfort food.
Yeah, but my comfort soup is always the Vietnamese pho. Everything.
Yes.
Yeah, when I'm sad, I would go for it. When I'm happy, I'd go for it. But thank you so much for sharing your favorite soup and your recipes as well. And we'd like to greet happy birthday to Joven de la Cruz of the Computer Support Department of EBC Main Studios.
Happy birthday po!
And EVC friends Aika and Casey Medina in Baltimore, Maryland. Also, Michelle Castillanes, Sacramento, California. Happy birthday to you all. We continue to express our appreciation for our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers. You are our modern-day heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.
Kuya, meron akong tanong. Ba't ba tayo umalis ng Olvida? Bakit ayaw mong bumalik tayo dito? Si Ate Reyna ba ang punot dulo?
Si tatay. Siya ang punot dulo ng lahat.